Hey everyone, my name is Shizuraku and in this video I'm going to test two of my favorite hot hatches in GT7. I know everyone loves Civic more because Initial D and hot version and whatever the hell you watched that had Civics in it, but hear me out. Back in 2024 I decided I wanted to buy my first car. I made a list of cars I could afford with what I had saved, and at the top of the list was the Civic EJ6 and Swift. We have their stronger, better, more badass brothers, the Civic EK9 and Swift ZC31S. Anyway, in real life I decided for Swift because there was one with 1.5 liter engine for sale. It's younger than Civic and Civics are just too expensive now where I live for what they offer at this age and era. Don't get me wrong, old cars are super cool if you're a collector or have money for a second car, but not if it's gonna be your all-in-one car, like your car for highways, road trips, moving, grocery getter and a toga machine. So in this video I'm going to test the higher end version of both of these cars on the European legal toga called Nürburgring. I tuned these cars to their max potential without swapping engines, and now we're gonna see how they handle this amazing track. First, we have the mentioned Suzuki Swift Sport. This car has 308 bhp and weighs 869 kilograms. The car is pretty stable, it's a bit understeery at some moments, but nothing a better tune-up wouldn't solve. I drive this one a lot in open lobbies and honestly I would rate it at 8 out of 10. I really enjoy driving this car, it's a bit slower so I can push it more knowing there's more space to fix errors if I lose control, and I really like how it looks. It's just my opinion, you're watching my video of course. Oh boy, how I loved this car after seeing it almost beat Takumi in Initial D. I've driven this car so much in Assetto Corsa that it now almost feels like returning to an old friend. Because ever since I stopped playing AC and came to GT7, I never really played with this one since I had more options in GT7. This car has 423 bhp, 861 kilograms, so it's a lot more powerful than the Swift, but power and top speed isn't everything. For me, the way I feel about the car when driving it is more than how fast it can go in a straight line. I tried to tune both of these cars almost identically, and I see that what works with Swift doesn't work with Civic as much, which is obvious because I didn't take the difference of power into account, and I should have changed the setup on Civic based on that. Anyway, the Civic is great, it's a bit harder to control, and similarly as in AC, I think it's more prone to lift off oversteer. The higher speed makes it fun, but it's a bit more stressful, and in VR the view is kind of strange, though it's nothing you can't fix by readjusting your camera view. How would I rate the Civic? Well, it's hard to tell. Compared to Swift, I had to do 2 laps because I crashed on the first one with Civic. It was harder to control, but that was obviously a tuning issue, and I didn't expect the handling will be that much more different compared to Swift. Which is also cool, knowing that these hatches don't handle the same in-game. I would probably give this one like 7 out of 10. Based on how I feel after the lap, the satisfaction just isn't there for me, and now it almost makes sense why I keep seeing Integras in open lobbies and EG6, but this one, not so much. Anyway, I will play with the tune off screen so that I can find the most enjoyable one. Tell me in the comments which is your favorite, like your all-time favorite hot hatch. And if you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell button. See you next time.